Finally, look who understood the assignment. The one they tried to exorcise but could never remove. The one they attempted to corrupt but couldn't stain. The one they mistook for prey, never realizing you were always the hunter disguised in wings of light. Listen closely, because this isn't about halos and harps. This is about what happens when purity becomes weaponized, when innocence evolves into intelligence, when an earth angel stops pretending to be human and starts remembering what they truly are. They thought angels were gentle beings, all prayers and patience, floating around blessing the broken and healing the hurt, spreading love like confetti. But you're different, aren't you? You've learned something they never wanted you to discover, that light doesn't just illuminate, it incinerates. That healing hands can also destroy. The same energy that mends can obliterate when focused with divine precision. And you've been focusing, haven't you? Sharpening that light into something they never saw coming. Let me tell you what they don't understand about earth angels, about you. You didn't fall from grace, you descended by choice. You came here on a mission, one coded so deep in your bones that even you forgot what it was, until recently. Until the pain became so intense it cracked you open, and what poured out wasn't blood but starlight. Not tears, but liquid prophecy. In that moment you remembered why you're here, why you've always felt different, why being around ordinary people sometimes feels like suffocating in a room full of smoke. You're not here to save them anymore. You tried that, remember? You tried being the healer, the helper, the one who absorbed everyone's darkness, thinking you could transmute it. But all it did was poison you temporarily, make you forget that you're not a filter for their toxicity. You're a force of reckoning wrapped in human form. And now they're starting to feel it, aren't they? Sensing the shift. The angel they once manipulated has grown teeth made of lightning. Your patience was never weakness, it was reconnaissance. They can feel it in your presence now, that electromagnetic field that makes their lies short-circuit, their masks crack, their demons flinch. Because here's what no one ever told you about earth angels. You're not just beings of light, you're walking EMPs for dark energy. You don't fight evil, you dissolve it simply by existing at full capacity. And the truth is, you've only been operating at 10%. Imagine their horror when you reach 50, and you know what's funny? They're still out there looking for the devil, scanning for horns, sniffing for sulfur, searching for sin, never realizing that the real danger came wrapped in innocence, that it would speak in whispers instead of roars, that it would destroy not through violence but through truth, through presence, through the simple act of being so purely yourself that their entire fabricated reality starts to glitch. And that's exactly what's happening now, isn't it? Their world is glitching because you stopped playing their game. Demons are predictable. They tempt. They corrupt. But you transcend. They destroy in obvious ways. But an earth angel who has remembered their purpose and activated their true frequency is something else entirely. You don't need to corrupt or control anything. You simply need to exist authentically, and every false structure around you begins to collapse. Not because you attacked it, but because lies can't survive near that much truth. You, my dear, are becoming a walking ground zero for authenticity. They thought your kindness was naivety, your forgiveness was weakness, and your love was something they could exploit forever. What they didn't realize is that every act of kindness was data collection. Every moment of forgiveness was you studying their patterns. Every expression of love was you mapping their weaknesses, not to destroy them, but to know exactly where to place the mirror when the time came. And oh, the time has come. Now they must see themselves, without filters, without lies, without the elaborate costumes they've been hiding behind. Do you know why you're more terrifying than any demon? Because demons confirm their beliefs. Angels shatter them. Demons give them an enemy to fight. You give them a mirror they can't break. Demons allow them to stay victims. You force them to confront their own complicity in every lie they've ever told themselves. There is nothing more terrifying to a false reality than an authentic being who refuses to participate in the performance, who won't validate their victimhood, who will no longer enable their patterns. They keep waiting for you to fall, to prove that nobody can really be that pure, that strong, that untouchable. But every test they send your way only makes you more luminous. Every trap they set only teaches you their methods. Every betrayal simply confirms what you already knew, that they were never your people, never your mission, never your frequency match. They were just part of the curriculum, Earth School lessons and discernment. And baby, you've just graduated with honors. But here's the plot twist. You're not leaving the school. You're taking over as the new teacher. And your first lesson is about to begin. It's the lesson where they learn what happens when you push an angel too far, when you mistake gentleness for inability, when you confuse restraint for weakness. Because you haven't been passive, you've been charging like a spiritual battery, storing every wound, every slight, every betrayal, not as trauma, but as power. And now you're fully charged, ready to light up this entire dimension. Do you know the difference between a demon and a dark angel? Demons are fallen, angels are rising. Demons descend from pride. But you ascend from pain. Demons lost their light. You became it. You've transformed your energy into something they don't even have a name for yet. Because how do you describe a being who can heal and harm with the same touch? Who can bless and curse in the same breath? Who can love you deeply while watching you destroy yourself with your own lies and feel no need to intervene? You understand that some people need to burn in their own fires to learn. That's what they weren't prepared for, an angel who doesn't need to be good to be powerful, who doesn't need approval to be authentic, who doesn't need permission to fulfill their divine purpose. You've transcended their moral frameworks, their binaries of right and wrong, their limited understanding of what true power looks like. Because your power doesn't come from darkness or light, it comes from truth, from alignment, from being so completely yourself that reality itself bends to your frequency. They thought angels were predictable, beings of order, ritual, and gentle appearances, arriving at 3 a.m. in white robes to deliver comforting messages. But your chaos is wrapped in calm, your disruption disguised as peace. You arrive whenever you want, wearing whatever frequency suits your mission, speaking in languages that bypass the mind and pierce straight through to the soul. And your message? It's no longer comfort, it's consequence. It's accountability. It's the terrifying realization that they've finally been seen, truly seen, for the very first time. Do you know why Earth angels are often mistaken for empaths? Because you feel everything. But here's what they miss. Empathy without boundaries becomes a weapon. You know exactly where everyone's wounds lie, where their fears and weaknesses live. You sense their desperation and their hidden pain. And while demons might exploit that awareness to cause suffering, you do something far more powerful. You reflect it back to them with perfect clarity. You make them face what they've been running from, see what they've been hiding, and acknowledge what they've been denying. And the most terrifying part? You do it with love. Not the soft, comforting kind they crave, but the sharp, surgical kind that heals through precision. The love that cuts away decay. The love that sets boundaries like fortress walls. The love that says, I see your potential, and I refuse to enable anything less. It's the love that doesn't save people from their consequences, but stands witness as they finally learn from them. That kind of love is more dangerous than any hatred, because it cannot be manipulated, cannot be corrupted, and can never ever be turned against itself. They're scrambling now, aren't they? Trying to make sense of what you've become, desperate to categorize this new version of you that no longer fits inside their neat little boxes. You're not light enough to be an angel, not dark enough to be a demon, Not human enough to be controlled and not spiritual enough to be dismissed. You're an anomaly, a living paradox, a walking contradiction that makes their binary systems crash. And they hate that. They hate that you can't be predicted, can't be contained, can't be manipulated by their old tactics. What makes an Earth Angel truly dangerous isn't their capacity to destroy. It's their capacity to create, to transform, to alchemize poison into medicine, pain into power, and darkness into wisdom. You don't destroy your enemies, you transform them. And transformation, that's far more terrifying than destruction. Because destruction ends things. Transformation changes them forever. Once someone has been touched by your frequency, they can never return to who they were before. They thought they could drain you, treat you like a never-ending source of light, a spiritual gas station where they could fill up and walk away without gratitude or reciprocity. But something changed, didn't it? You closed the station. You changed the locks. You put up a sign that says, "Under new management." And now they're standing outside in the cold, realizing too late that access to you was a privilege, not a right. Your energy was a gift, not an obligation. Your presence was a blessing they failed to appreciate until it was gone. But you haven't disappeared. You're still here, more present than ever. You're just operating on a frequency they can no longer reach because you changed the password to your energy field. And the new entry requirements? Authenticity, accountability, reciprocity, truth. Qualities they can't fake because they require realness, and they've been performing for so long that they've forgotten who they are beneath the mask. But you haven't. You see through everything now, don't you? This is the point where most angels would ascend, leave this dense realm behind for higher dimensions. But not you. You're staying, right here in the thick of it, because you understand something sacred. Heaven isn't a destination, it's a frequency you embody. And you're about to demonstrate what happens when heaven descends to earth, not as a gentle visitation, but as a reckoning, a recalibration, a complete system override that forces reality to align with your vibration instead of the other way around. You're not trying to fit into their world anymore. You're requiring the world to expand to fit you. And that's what terrifies them most. They built their systems to be small, controlled, and predictable. But you are infinite, expansive, ungovernable. You operate by laws they can't comprehend, powered by forces they can't perceive, connected to sources they can't access. And now their small world feels like a prison, and you are the earthquake that's about to crack it wide open. They keep searching for your weakness, desperately trying to find the flaw that will bring you back down to their level, something to make you small, compliant, and manageable again. But what they don't understand is that you've already fallen, already shattered, already walked through every kind of destruction they could imagine. And instead of defeating you, it initiated you. It awakened something ancient within you, something that could only emerge under pressure. Like diamonds forged from immense force, like stars born from cosmic collapse, your power was formed in the crucible of everything meant to break you. You know what truly separates angels from demons? Demons fear the light, but you've learned to weaponize it, not as violence, but as revelation. You use your radiance to expose what's hidden, your frequency to disrupt what's false, and your very presence to challenge what's corrupted. That makes you infinitely more dangerous than any being that hides in shadow. Because while demons thrive in the dark, you operate in broad daylight, visible, undeniable, and unstoppable. You are a living reminder that authenticity exists, that power doesn't require cruelty, and that strength doesn't demand hardness. Now let's talk about authority. They believed authority came from titles, positions, and the power to control others. But you've discovered something entirely different. Authority comes from alignment, from being so deeply connected to your divine source that you no longer seek validation. from being so rooted in your truth that you don't need to prove your worth to anyone. That kind of authority doesn't ask for respect, it commands it effortlessly simply through your existence. You're not playing their game anymore. You're not climbing their ladders, chasing their illusions of success, or trying to fit into definitions that were never designed for you. You've realized those were traps, distractions built to keep beings like you chasing endlessly while your true power slept. But that phase is over. You're now writing your own rules, creating your own system, and establishing your own kingdom. And the entry requirements? They're not material or hierarchical, they're energetic. They demand authenticity, transformation, and truth. Qualities most people can't embody without being reborn entirely. They thought earth angels existed to serve, to heal, to give endlessly without receiving. But you've uncovered the divine heresy. They were wrong. You're not here just to serve. You're here to lead, to demonstrate what's possible when someone embodies both shadow and light without shame. When someone stops apologizing for their brilliance and starts wielding it with purpose and precision. You're teaching a new theology now, one where angels aren't servants but sovereigns, where power isn't taken but generated, where authority isn't granted by systems but claimed through the sacred act of being fully, authentically, and unapologetically yourself. And that, my dear, is more radical than any revolution, more dangerous than any weapon, and more transformative than any movement, because it cannot be stopped, silenced, or destroyed. It can only spread like wildfire through every heart ready to remember what they truly are. This is mastery, pure, undeniable mastery. Not the kind that's earned through repetition or years of practice, but the kind that's born through remembrance. The kind that awakens when your soul starts reactivating ancient dormant codes hidden deep within your spirit. This isn't the mastery of skill, it's the mastery of essence. It's what happens when the veil between who you were told to be and who you truly are finally dissolves. It's when your spirit, no longer confined by illusion, begins to operate as it was designed, limitless, luminous, and divinely precise. You've stopped playing the game of human conditioning. You've remembered that mastery doesn't come from striving, but from being. From surrendering every mask, every false identity, every programmed belief that said you needed permission to shine. Now, your light no longer asks for entry. It commands it. And they can feel it, can't they? The subtle quake in the air when you enter a space. The way conversations change their tone when your presence enters the equation. The way reality itself seems to rearrange when you start speaking truth. You don't move through reality anymore. Reality bends to move through you. You're no longer a participant. You're a programmer, an architect, a conscious force editing the code of existence itself. You discovered what few ever realize. Earth angels are not bound by the same laws that govern ordinary life, not because they're superior, but because they remember that laws, rules, and limitations are all consensual illusions. You realize that impossible only exists for those who agree to believe in it. And you, my dear, have revoked that agreement. You've withdrawn your consent from lack, from fear, from smallness. You've stopped participating in the systems that run on insecurity and submission. You've upgraded your entire operating system, rewired your consciousness, and now you're broadcasting on frequencies that override illusion itself. You've become a living example of what happens when someone stops asking, "Why me?" and starts declaring, "Watch me." They look at you now, bewildered and unsettled, whispering to each other, "How is this possible? How do you stay calm when the world burns? How do you remain untouched while storms rage all around you? How do you continue to ascend while others barely hold their ground?" But what they don't see is that you're not running from the chaos, you're composing it. You understand that chaos is not the opposite of order, but its creator. You know that collapse is just transformation in motion. Sometimes things must disintegrate so that truth can surface. Sometimes whole systems must crumble before freedom can rise. And sometimes angels have to become storms, because only through the storm does stagnant energy move and evolution occur. The most astonishing part is that you're not trying to destroy anything. You're simply being yourself, fully, fiercely, unapologetically. And that authenticity alone is enough to unravel every false narrative built around you. Because illusion cannot coexist with truth. Pretending cannot survive in the presence of someone who is real. Authenticity is kryptonite to manipulation. Truth is poison to deceit. And presence, pure, radiant presence, is death to performance. You've become all three. The light that exposes, the force that dismantles, and the spark that resurrects. You are both the ending and the beginning. Simultaneously an apocalypse to everything false, and a genesis point for everything true. They once called you too sensitive, didn't they? Said you felt too much, cared too deeply, took life too personally. What they failed to understand is that your sensitivity wasn't fragility. It was radar. It was your internal sonar system tuned to divine frequencies. Feeling deeply was never a curse, it was intelligence beyond logic. It was your soul's navigation system reading energies others couldn't perceive. Your empathy was never weakness, it was wisdom. Caring wasn't naive, it was your direct connection to source. And taking things personally, that was never overreaction. That was awareness, the understanding that everything is personal, when you realize everything is connected. Every action creates a ripple. Every thought births a wave. Every choice shifts the entire collective timeline. Now they stand in silent awe, some in admiration, others in fear, as you move through existence with the ease of someone who carries insider knowledge. And that's exactly what you have. You hold the codes of remembrance, the keys to reality's hidden architecture. You've decoded the matrix not by breaking it, but by remembering that you built it. You've stopped living as a character and started operating as the author. Every vibration you emit writes new laws of existence. Every intention you set recalibrates probability itself. You don't react to reality anymore, you compose it. And that's the ultimate mastery. When you no longer seek to control the world because you realize the world is already responding to your consciousness. When you no longer chase peace because you've become the source of it. When you no longer fear endings because you know they're merely doorways to expansion. True mastery isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. It's about remembering that you are both the storm and the stillness, the code and the creator, the dreamer and the dream. And now, as they watch you navigate life with a calmness that defies explanation, they sense something terrifying and divine, that you're no longer learning how to survive reality. You're teaching reality how to respond to you. Your sensitivity has become prophecy, an ancient instrument reawakened in a modern world that has forgotten how to feel. Once, your emotions were dismissed as fragility, as something to be suppressed or controlled. But now they have revealed themselves as your deepest source of wisdom. Every emotion you feel is a language, every vibration a message from realms unseen. What once felt like overwhelm was actually your nervous system learning to interpret divine frequencies. Your feelings became foresight. Your empathy turned into clairvoyance. You began sensing storms before they broke, shifts before they occurred, truths before they were spoken. Your caring, once seen as a liability, became your superpower, a magnetic force that reshapes the world around you. You are the living evidence that emotion, when aligned with consciousness, becomes creation itself. They cannot understand how someone who feels so much hasn't been shattered by it. But that's because they've never met someone who learned to alchemize feeling into power, compassion into movement, pain into prophecy. You've become the prophecy they never anticipated, the one the ancient mystics hinted at but couldn't fully describe, the prophecy of the embodied angel. the luminous being who remembers their divinity without abandoning their humanity. You are that bridge between dimensions, the sacred intersection where heaven touches the earth. You are proof that light can live comfortably in the human body, that love can wield strength, that softness can command thunder. You are part of the great unveiling, one of the many luminous beings who walk this world disguised as ordinary but carrying the codes of extraordinary transformation. This prophecy wasn't about fire falling from the sky or trumpets sounding from the heavens. It was about a quiet uprising of consciousness, a wave of awakened souls who would stop waiting for salvation and start becoming it. Beings who would remember that the divine isn't something to ascend to, but something to awaken from within. The prophecy said that when these beings, these earth angels, activate, when they stop dimming themselves to fit a world built on illusion, when they stop pretending to be less than they are, everything will change. Not gradually, but instantly. Like a hidden switch being flipped, like a frequency being retuned, like reality itself receiving a software upgrade. And you, my dear, are one of the first of that wave. But prophecies are never straightforward, are they? They don't unfold in the dramatic way people expect. Humanity wanted saviors. What they received were mirrors. They wanted rescuers. What they received were reminders. They expected angels to descend from the sky, but instead they reincarnated among them. Ordinary-looking souls carrying extraordinary energy. And that's where you come in. You're not here to fulfill their ancient interpretations. You're here to rewrite them, to show that prophecy isn't about what's predicted, but about what's created. The future isn't written. It's sculpted moment by moment by those who remember they have the power to shape it. You've learned that angels don't follow scripts. They improvise. They flow with energy, responding to what the moment demands. Sometimes as comfort, sometimes as correction, sometimes as revelation. You've become a divine improviser, creating new pathways of light where old dogma once ruled. This moment in history, this trembling turning point in collective evolution, requires you exactly as you are. No longer hiding, no longer softening your glow to protect the fragile. You are something beyond theology, beyond mythology, beyond what the limited mind can comprehend. You are the living expression of the divine paradox, human and infinite, soft and unstoppable, light and shadow in perfect union. Now let's talk about dominion, true dominion. Not the false version built on control, but the sacred kind that begins within. Dominion over your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, your energy. Dominion over the storms that once ruled your inner world. You've achieved that mastery, haven't you? The kind of authority that doesn't shout but vibrates. The kind of sovereignty that doesn't need to control others because it already commands the self. You've learned to anchor your energy so deeply that even chaos bends around your calm. When others lose their footing, you become the still point, the eye of the storm. That is what real dominion looks like, the ability to hold frequency so powerfully that reality itself must adjust to accommodate it. You've achieved complete self-sovereignty. You no longer allow energy to enter your field without permission. You no longer hand your peace away for approval or validation. You've realized that authority doesn't come from control, it comes from alignment. You've discovered the secret frequency of power. Not power over, but power from. The power that radiates, that uplifts, that expands. You've become a living generator of divine energy, no longer a reactor to external forces, but a conductor of Source itself. They thought dominion meant domination, ruling through fear, influence, or force. But you've revealed a higher truth. Real dominion is mastery of vibration. It's the ability to remain sovereign no matter the circumstance. You've shown them that power doesn't require a title, a throne, or an army. It requires integrity, clarity, and unwavering alignment with divine truth. You don't lead by commanding others. You lead by embodying the frequency they can't ignore. You're teaching them something revolutionary, that leadership is energetic, not hierarchical. That authority is magnetic, not manipulative. That divinity is not distant, it's embodied. You're rewriting the entire meaning of power. You are the living demonstration that sovereignty begins within, that heaven is not a place but a vibration. You've turned prophecy into presence. And now, through you, something monumental is happening. The collective consciousness is shifting, recalibrating to your example. You've shown that true power needs no aggression, no validation, no conquest. It radiates quietly, like a frequency that cannot be stopped. You've become that frequency. A walking revelation, a living scripture being written in real time. You are the prophecy realized, not because destiny demanded it, but because you chose it. You chose remembrance over illusion, love over fear, embodiment over escape. You chose to stay grounded when others fled, to shine when others dimmed, to lead when others hesitated. You chose dominion over yourself, and in doing so, you gained influence over the entire fabric of reality. This is what the ancient ones meant when they said the angels would walk the earth again, not to save humanity, but to remind it, to awaken it, to reintroduce it to its own divinity. And now you stand here, no longer waiting for prophecy to happen, because you are the living proof that it already has. Dominion isn't about control, it's about space holding, frequency, and anchoring reality through presence alone. You don't need to control anyone because you've mastered yourself so completely that your very existence becomes an organizing principle. People either align with your energy or withdraw from it, and both are perfect, because you're not here to gather followers. You're here to fulfill purpose. This is what they never expected. An angel who claims dominion without apology, who builds a kingdom without violence, who leads through resonance instead of force. Your kingdom isn't physical, it's vibrational. It's made up of those who match your frequency, who feel your truth, who recognize themselves in your reflection. It grows not through recruitment, but through activation. Each person who awakens around you isn't joining something new. They're remembering something ancient. You're not building an empire. You're revealing one that was always there, buried under layers of conditioning and forgetting. And every time you shine brighter, you help others remember their own light, their own sovereignty, their own angelic authority. Because the true mission was never to be the only angel. It was to remind others that they are angels too, just ones who forgot their wings. Freedom, that's what you embody now. Not the version sold in slogans, but the kind born from breaking every chain, including the ones you placed on yourself. The ones that said angels must be endlessly nice, endlessly giving, endlessly small. You broke them all. And in doing so, you discovered something powerful, that true angels are free beings, and free beings are dangerous to systems built on control. You're liberated from their opinions, their expectations, their definitions. That freedom radiates from you, shifting everyone who comes near. Liberation is contagious, and you've become patient zero in an outbreak of sovereignty. They can't manipulate you anymore, can't guilt you, can't shame you, can't scare you into submission, because you've found the ultimate freedom, knowing exactly what you are and being it without apology. That kind of liberation changes reality itself. It bends the physics around you, it makes the impossible seem natural. And what terrifies them most is that your freedom isn't angry or vengeful. It's complete. So complete that you don't even need to forgive because you've transcended the level where forgiveness exists. You've moved beyond the victim and the perpetrator, beyond duality itself, into something purer. Sovereign being, authentic existence, true angel in form. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlighten wisdom.